For the rest of the hour, maybe 5 minutes of overdrive, we are joined by Gerald Celente. You can go online and you can see his different websites, geraldcelente.com, trendsresearch.com, trendsjournal.com. They all take you to the same place, an amazing website. You can see there, if you type in Gerald Celente, who do people associate with Gerald Celente? Alex Jones, Peter Schiff, Mark Faber, Max Kaiser, and Jim Rogers. And that is... I agree with all those guys. That is it's good to be in that company. Because I was just typing in Gerald Celente to see the latest news on him during the break and noticed that I'm honored to be up there. I think out of all those people, the most with Gerald Celente and Max Kaiser. Jim Rogers is a great guy. And, of course, so's Mark Faber and Peter Schiff. But side issue, he joins us now. He publishes the Trends Journal with the great artwork of Anthony Frida and others. And he's one of the few people that I just constantly learn things from. I mean, because I can learn a lot from other people, but it's just like, wow, a big dose of that. And it'll make my mother happy. I know who listens. But we've kind of done an informal poll. I think Gerald Celente, I know, is the most popular guest on this show. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up. You know, Gerald asked, hey, what topics do you want me on about via email? And I said, hey, why don't you send the topics? So we're going to go through the topics he wants to cover, and a bunch of these are what I would have covered already. So I'm glad we're of one mind on many fronts. I guess minds that love freedom think the same, think alike. And we'll go through some of these points. Gerald, everything is accelerating. Just as you predicted in Europe, they have these fake fiscal cliffs to then terrorize everyone into more banker bailout money as the bankers exempt themselves. You wanted to get into the fiscal cliff first. The Republicans want to rape us 5 ways to Sunday, and Obama wants it 7 ways to Sunday. You know, I'm nonpartisan, but Obama really wants even more taxes and dictatorial power handed over to him. What's your take on the fiscal cliff, Gerald?
Well, first of all, you know, we've been hearing about this fiscal cliff now, since about a week before Election Day. It's going on over a month. And, you know, the toilet paper of record, the New York Times, calls what I do pessimism porn when I warn about something. But boy, are they selling pessimism porn with this fiscal cliff. You can't get it out of your head. They're hitting every hour, every day with it. And they're making a lot more out of it than it is. Because it's not just a fiscal cliff. It's a much bigger story than that, but they're not telling the whole story. And the story is this. They synthesized it down that, well, you know, we'll go over the fiscal cliff if we don't cut the budget deficit, the federal budget deficit, because it's out of line. And the way we're going to do it is, we have 2 ideas. Because we're only the Republicans and the Democrats, we could only come up with 2 ideas because we're too damn stupid to think of anything more. We'll call ourselves the incompetents and the inepts. I got an idea. Let's cut spending. Okay, great. I got another idea. Let's talk about taxes. We'll either increase them or we'll decrease them. That's the end of the story. That's how far these morons go. Why don't we talk about the whole issue here? If you're going to cut spending and you're going to increase taxes, guess what you're going to do, moron? You're going to slow down the economy. Hey, the economy's not slowing down enough for you? Let's really put the brakes on it. Then what does it do? Well, 70% of the GDP in the United States is consumer spending. 70%? Yeah, that's right, because they sold out the country. They offshored our manufacturing. You remember it. Bill Clinton, that wonderful liberal. Yeah, the debate with Ross Perot and Al Gore. Yeah. Oh, we're going to have great jobs. We don't need those manufacturing jobs. We can have service sector jobs. Oh, service sector. Service, servitude. Right. You get to be a cashier. You could stock shelves at Walmart. Oh, you could be on a call center, the ones that we still have here that they haven't shipped to India or the Philippines. So now you're going to cut spending, you're going to increase taxes, you're going to slow down the economy, less people work, less tax revenues come in. Brilliant. So how are we going to solve this problem? It's very simple, and no one will talk about it. Why won't they talk about it? because of the Gambinos and the Bonanos, the two crime families that made these problems happen. So how could any imbecile, any thinking person look upon the people that caused the problem to solve it? They can't. The way you solve it is, number one, bring the jobs back home. Put back in place what Bill Clinton took away from us, what George W. Bush accelerated, and what Obama keeps going by bragging that we're making up more trade deals there. Oh, yeah, you know what a trade deal is? Very simple. Hey, how about that lovely fire over there in Bangladesh that killed over 100 people in the sweatshop? A trade deal means you take all of your manufacturing, anything that service, anything that you could do, bring it to a slave labor country, and then bring it back and mark the price up.
That actually brings down those countries. Almost all the studies show. Then you destroy Mexico. They kick them off their agrarian land. Then they all come up here and drive down the wages even more. And the globalists brag. It's a consolidation, a race to the bottom. They know what they're doing. But Al Gore got up, in '94 in those debates with Ross Perot and Larry King, and they all laughed at Ross Perot when he said it was a giant sucking sound. But guess what it was? And then they have tax incentives to move the jobs overseas, and they spend $22 billion to move Cadillac and Volt factories to China and Brazil. And that's a good deal, Gerald. They're going to bail out General Motors by moving it overseas. I mean, they are gutting this country.
Exactly. So the fiscal cliff is a lot of crap. That's what I'm trying to say. And you nailed it. You put all the details into it. So the first one is that. The second one is put back the regulations that gave the people in this country an even shot at the deal. And those regulations, from the 19th to the 20th century, the robber barons were taking over the country. Now they just got different names. They got names like private equity groups, hedge funds, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs gang. All of these companies that have taken over all the whole country, whether it's in retail, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in communication.
And they take the money they suck and move it to a third world hell pit to sell us junk back to dig the hole deeper. They're waging economic war against us.
They're enslaving us. It's a plantation economy. That's all it is. You're looking, I'm not making this up. You look at the numbers, Alex. What, median household income has fallen over 10% since the Great Recession began in 2008? I'm not making it up that 50% of the kids that get with college degrees that get jobs are making jobs that are paying wages that you could get with a high school diploma and that you can't live on. I'm not making it up. So when you look at what they've done, hey, when I was a kid, they had this strange thing. They used to have pharmacies on the corner that were owned by people in the community. There were no Rite Aids or Walgreens. There were no Duane Reeds or CVS's clogging up every corner. Everybody had a shot at it until the politicians got paid off to deregulate. They deregulated the Robinson-Patman Act. They deregulated the Sherman Antitrust Act. They deregulated the Clayton Antitrust Act. And what did they do? Oh, under Bill Clinton again? Yeah, the one that everybody loves. Oh, just a little side note. I heard Obama during the campaign. He kept saying, under Bill Clinton, we created 23 million jobs, his government did. BS. The reason we had 23 million jobs back then, for anybody that's old enough to remember, you mentioned 1994, that was the beginning of the internet revolution, the dot-com bubble. It was a whole new world was being born. But I digress. Bill Clinton is the guy that under the other member of the Goldman Sachs gang, Robert Rubin, began the process of deregulating the economy on the financial end by killing the Glass-Steagall Act that was put in place during the Great Depression so that the banks couldn't rob all our money by making up all of these games to steal it from us from everywhere we could look at. So those are two ways to solve the fiscal problem. The third, very simple. And this is one of the big trends. And it's going to be the major trend of 2013. They're taking us to war. Eisenhower said it. I keep saying it over again. 5-star general, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces during World War II. He warned us. Oh, two-term Republican president, I forgot. He warned us that and no major wars were fought when he was president. You know why? Because he was a man. He was a man that saw death and destruction. He was a man that fought, not like these little boys.
Recently, the Harvard School of Health looked at more than a dozen scientific studies concerning fluoride and confirmed what countless other scientists have been documenting for decades. Sodium fluoride in the body reduces IQ and increases cancers. You see, the aluminum industry and the fertilizer industries would have to pay to store all the toxic waste they produce. But instead, they get our counties and cities to pay to put the poison in our water. It's not just fluoride we're getting, but lead, mercury, arsenic. The list goes on. And a lot of this toxic waste comes from China. Unfortunately, fluoride and its derivatives are only one of hundreds of toxins being added to our drinking water. We're battling the globalist on so many fronts. Health is an area where we can all take control of our lives, and it all starts with that basic building block of water. It is time to purify our family's water. The ProPure filtration system with added fluoride filters is the best system from my research to protect you and your family. InfoWarsStore.com already has the lowest prices on ProPure water filtration. But until December 10th, we are going to offer 15% off the already lowest price. I know what I'm giving my family this Christmas. ProPure. Go to InfoWarsStore.com and get 15% off the already lowest price out there with the code WATER15. WATER15, and you get 15% off at InfoWarsStore.com. TrendsResearch.com is Gerald's excellent site. If you want to be successful and know what's coming before it gets there, turn a little bit of football off, a little bit of the sitcom off, and go check out the powerful information. It's actually fun to be informed. People have been taught that it's fun to be stupid, and actually it's not. Being stupid means you're going to be poor and your family's not going to be in a bad position. I just can't imagine. Manliness is being informed, being involved, and being in charge of your own destiny as much as you can. Same thing for women. But side issue, going back to Gerald. Gerald, it is now in articles in McClatchy News, LA Times, you name it. Drudge Report, Matt Drudge tweeted out, oh, look, now you're going to go, and have WMD hysteria and lies before the UN saying Syria is going to use their chemical weapons, which they admit they have. They haven't attacked anybody. The West for 21 months is using al-Qaeda against them. And now the news admits what we've known for a while. Our government is putting al-Qaeda in with NATO. The French are massing ships. The British are. There's a U.S. aircraft carrier and 3 amphibious landing ships, which they don't. I mean, this is insane. And they're now saying we need action because Assad is hurting people. While our government is on record, al-Qaeda is being put in where they tell fathers, we're going to kill you if you don't go suicide bomb. And the news, remember the New York Times a few months ago ran with some stories about that and then pulled their own video because they thought, oh, look, they're making people suicide bomb. They're the good rebels, thinking we would go, oh, yeah, that's very moral. Kind of like when Rumsfeld was going, yeah, we're torturing people. And people were like, really, that's illegal. Oh, actually, I didn't mean that. I mean, it's bizarro. Even the Nazis didn't admit they were torturing people. I mean, are we not reaching some type of insanity of the ruling class themselves? I mean, what's going on here, Gerald?
I think you just said it. It's insanity. And it's insanity to believe for 1 second that the so-called ruling class, the officials, the administrators, the presidents, the prime ministers, their cabinets and war ministers know what they're doing. They failed in Afghanistan. They failed in Iraq. Look at that wonderful humanitarian mission that they pulled off in Libya. Oh, that was a beaut. Isn't the freedom and democracy ringing so beautifully? And now, as you mentioned, they're gearing up to go into Syria. And that's where I was going with Eisenhower, warning that the military-industrial complex was taking over the nation, and that if you want to avoid going over this fiscal cliff, try this one on for size. Didn't the Senate just vote a couple of days ago 98-0 for a $631 billion defense budget? 98-0. Hey, we got wars to fight.
And by the way, I believe that was there's going to be supplemental as well. It's over. It's almost $2 trillion. All the different spending. This is insane. You cut that. Insane. You cut that by a third. Problem solved. I mean, they've got to do it.
Exactly. But what are they doing? Well, they're blowing each other up over there in Detroit with AK-47s. You know, robbing gas stations. The country's, you know, every day you pick up the paper and you see all this crime. And by the way, what's going on in Europe that's not making the news here? My God, the crime rate in Spain, in Greece, the poverty that the people are living in, how this thing is collapsing in front of us. I got an idea. Let's start another war. So as you were saying, yes, it is insanity. How can you expect, again, the same people that caused the problems to fix them? They failed in all these other wars, and now they're going to start another failure. And I want to pick up on what you said. The story back in Iraq was, hey, remember that Saddam Hussein? Yeah, that guy had weapons of mass destruction. I saw that little coward, that Colin Powell. Yeah, Colin, you got the right place, man. Right in that Colin, putting on that cheap show in the UN to tell us, hey, look at those pictures. I'll tell you what them is. Those are mobile chemical laboratories. Oh, yeah, you remember how they sold us the lie that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction? It's playing a parallel right now. It's only different. Now they're saying Syria is going to use their chemical weapons. Before they said, even though Hussein and all his other people and even some weapons inspectors said, hey, listen, man, there are no weapons of mass destruction. The big lie from the U.S. was he has to prove that he doesn't have them. All right, that was what you don't have.
Exactly. That was a short segment, long segment coming up. Gerald Celente is our guest. If you want to talk to him on air, 800-259-9231. We'll continue to talk about where this war will lead us straight ahead. Stay with us.
As Skynet continues to rise, most Americans have no idea the arsenal their own government is prepared to use against them. Walking weapons and unmanned drones that will find their way to U.S. soil if they haven't already. But the future is not written in stone. Join InfoWars for the first ever drone mob December 8th at Zilker Park in Austin, Texas. This family-friendly event is to inform the public of the weapons that target us. Bring your own drones and spy planes as we make the statement that we don't want our weapons turned against us. Be there at 11 a.m. There will be some amazing giveaways and even a video contest. So bring your camera, because whoever films the best drone video at the event and posts it up on YouTube will receive 1,000 Federal Reserve notes. And be sure to use the hashtag DroneMob on Twitter and visit Infowars.com for more details.
All right, Gerald Celente is our guest, and we are going right back to him to race through. There's a couple more pages of great points he wants to make. Let's continue to go through your trends, because the war that you've been saying for several years would come, it's definitely going on. Proxy wars, big wars. They just call them peace because Obama is a Peace Prize winner. It's all part of the sick joke. The torture continues. They documented that in Benghazi. There's evidence there was election fraud. I'm not saying it doesn't, that Romney would have saved us. It was just the fix was in at every level. This is not a mandate for everything Obama's doing. Nothing but lobbyists, nothing but signing statements, giant scams, waivers to his buddies from all his laws, saying he'll take guns without congressional approval, shutting down power plants without congressional approval, signing a cybersecurity act and not letting Congress see it, but then the UN brags it gives them the internet. I mean, things are exponentially moving quicker to the point of I think I've gotten punch drunk and almost, I am in a learned helplessness state, because And I'm informed, and it's just getting crazier by the minute. How crazy will it be in another year, in 3 years, if we continue down this road? And the bankers are so arrogant. They're all over the news going, we conquered America. I listen to Bloomberg on XM all the time, driving home at night. And they'll be going, don't worry, we'll get a third bailout for ourselves out of Europe. We're taking over. America, there's no way. We've got all the pension funds tied up in what we're doing. We're telling all the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan people, have all these head guys on, bragging how they've got us by the short hairs, just bragging how they're setting up a corporate world government, CNBC, AP, Reuters. You read, I mean, my crew's been up there 3-4 times to meet with you. I've met you in New York, but why are they I mean, I know you worked around the White Shoe Boys. I mean, I guess they are the classic criminals because they brag about it on top of it. Gerald, I'm ranting. Go ahead.
Well, they're sociopaths, and that's the way they behave. And they're money junkies, just like any other junkie, whether you're on heroin or cocaine, whatever it might be. You don't care. You just want to get your fix. And then you know the kind of head that a junkie has. That's all they are. They're no more than that, no less than that. Now, I just want to stay on Syria for one moment, because they're doing in Iraq with Syria. They're asking them to prove the unprovable. And the unprovable with Syria is, are they going to use these chemical weapons against their people or against other countries? And they're using that as an excuse for preemptive attack, just like they did with Iraq.
That's like saying, Russia, we've got to attack you because you might attack us someday. That's what Hitler did.
Exactly. Well, that's what Bush did with Iraq. They attacked a country that said that they didn't have what America and England and the coalition of the willing said they had. They said, we don't have them. The weapons inspector said, we can't find them. Oh, you can't find them because he won't give them to you. So it's this lunacy. It began what you said. Are they insane? Yes. And what I'm talking about, and I've been saying, and I'm most concerned about, is the first great war of the 21st century. But before I go into that, I also want to pick up on what you said about Obama getting reelected. And I've been around this thing a long time. I've never seen an election that ended with such a thud like this one. The bloom was off the rose immediately. There was no post-election high. The Dow dove about 300 points. Gold prices shot up 50 points. Since that time, the world equity markets have been on a downdraft. Then it was the clips with General Petraeus. You remember him? That guy with the Boy Scouts charm, as the toilet paper record refers to him as. We have never seen a post-election dive emotionally, spiritually, financially, like we're witnessing now, and then go back into the war.
By the way, they can't even, just real quick, just to back you up, they can't even sell inaugural tickets. None of them. They can't sell hotel rooms. He's so unpopular, but the system knows, again, they rigged it with Romney too. He didn't even get elected. I mean, I've talked to Bev Harris, all the experts. They announced, do you really believe, Gerald, that California didn't vote to not label GMO? I mean, give me a break. When polls were showing it for a while, 2-to-1 for it. I mean, we're now entering they are absolutely engaging in a total takeover. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I don't believe the California vote at all. Not at all. I mean, come on. We're going to save a couple of pennies by who would believe the big companies anyway? So no, I agree that, nothing they do, I trust. But going back to the Great War, how much more, I'm telling you, Alex, we're watching very closely what's going on in Europe, what's going on in Italy, what's going on in Spain, what's going on in Greece, what's going on in Hungary, what's going on in Slovenia.
The hospitals are shutting down. They're burning. Robberies everywhere. Basic hygiene at risk in debt-stricken Greek hospitals. People are dumping their kids on the street. It is bedlam, and the bankers are raising taxes, knowing it will put the countries into cardiac arrest so they can buy everything up. It's insane.
It's insane, and it's war. And no one will call a spade a spade.
Economic war.
Of course, it's class warfare. What do you think the Arab Springs were? We wrote about them before they happened. It wasn't a pro-democracy movement. It was a lot of people that are tired of not having any money, while the top of the pyramid's raping everybody else and stealing all the dough. Same in Tunisia, the same everywhere. So now we have a war in Libya. We have a war in Syria. We have a war in Bahrain that doesn't make the news. There's a war in Yemen. There's wars now heating up in Jordan. They're starting to oppose the king. The king. I love it. You can't call kings dictators. No, man. And don't say anything bad about them emirs. No, they're not dictators either. So you have all of these dictators that are starting to collapse. You have, as I said, there's class warfare throughout Europe. It's going on. The people are taking to the streets continually. The first great war of the 21st century has begun. And now, when they go into Syria, watch out for an explosion that you're going to start seeing rattle the world. You know, Alex, I have to tell you a quick story. And I'm going to ask my assistant over here to get me that little frame from General Anthony Zinni. I was asked in 2000 to be the keynote speaker at Virginia Military Institute, VMI. You remember, that's the place where Romney went when he announced what his geopolitical and foreign policy strategy would be.
Yes.
I was called down there to be the keynote speaker to talk about what new millennium warfare would look like. This is now 2000. I had written Trends 2000, my national bestseller, a Warner book. Now here I am telling, now the panel, after I speak, included such people as General Anthony Zinni. This is the guy that ran the first Iraq war, what was that, the first Gulf War. He was in charge of the troops under Schwarzenegger. He's on the panel. I'm discussing what new millennium warfare will look like. Here's the little note he sent me afterwards. Gerald, thank you for the book and kind note. My mission to the Middle East will continue, but will be difficult. Have a great holiday season. All the best, Tony Zinni. So here I am telling them what new millennium warfare will look like.
Show us that book again. Show us the book again. I had something up on screen.
I don't have, no, that was his, show me get the book. This is his note to me. And my book was Trends 2000. It was a national bestseller, a huge book.
Sure, no, I read it.
16 different languages. So now they bring me in to talk about new millennium warfare. Remember, the generals are bringing me in at VMI to tell them what new millennium warfare will look like. Because you've all heard the line, the generals are always fighting the last war. So when I talk about the great war of the 21st century, here's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like dirty bombs going off in Manhattan. It'll be new suitcase-sized nukes going off in Atlanta.
And Obama just said that on Monday. He says there's missing nukes.
Missing nukes? I got the whole front of this book of all of the missing weapons of mass destruction and suitcase-sized nukes that was being sold on the black market when the Soviet Union dissolved. Yeah,
Alexander Lebed exposed all that, and they blew up his helicopter.
20 years late. So anyway, you're going to see biological warfare. You're going to see hell. And what they're going to do, as the more of this that happens, the more rights they're going to take away from us under the guise that the psychopaths and sociopaths that started this are now going to save us. Alex, the first major trend of the new Trends Journal coming out, the top trends for 2013, is going to be peace. And I mean that, and we're doing everything, and we think, and I'll be discussing it more, that we have a real peace plan and something to put into place. Because you don't have to listen to me. Look with your eyes, listen with your ears, open your mind up. Look what's going on around the world. Look what's going on in this country. You can see it collapsing in front of us. The fiscal cliff, How about the bottomless pit?
Well said. I want to take a few phone calls as we promised to, and we've got you till 5 after next hour, so just about 15, 20 more minutes left total here with Gerald Celente, and there's a few other important points he needs to get into, but the establishment is digging in for a World War III type scenario. That's exactly all of the intel I get, the stuff, the information I respect in the film we made with Joel Scalzo, Strategic Relocation. Max Kaiser calls them suicide bankers, where there were people in the towers who were there during the crisis making money. Even after one tower had collapsed, there were people staying in one because they were making millions and killing themselves to make extra money. And, you know, these guys have so many billions of dollars apiece. It's all about, because I've read about the way they behave, showing off to the other ones, and that guy's got 20 billion, I've only got 5 billion, and they're selling all this fraud. And then the police, the military, they're all trained just to follow it. And it is a kind of a Caligula type deal where he marries his horse and then, you know, makes it the regent of Rome. How do we stop these people?
Again, you know, I'm going to be talking about this in more detail as we put the whole package together. But I want to also pick up what you were saying about the bankers. Again, I'm not making this stuff up. As I mentioned, Robert Rubin was the former CEO of Goldman Sachs gang, and he was appointed as Treasury Secretary under Clinton as they deregulated the Glass-Steagall Act. One of the big corporations that were created from that was Citigroup. He then ends up getting a job. Citigroup merges with Smith Barney, Travelers Insurance Company, Citibank, puts it all together. Then he becomes a consultant for them. What does he make? Over $100 million. Who was the Treasury Secretary under Bush that gave us TARP and made up the great big lie of too big to fail? Too big to fail are the words too big to fail that destroyed capitalism. This isn't capitalism. In capitalism, nobody's too big to fail. It's fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers. Henry Paulson. Where did Paulson come from? He was the CEO of the Goldman Sachs gang before becoming Treasury Secretary. Okay, you got it. 2 in a row. Then, who's the guy that brought down MF Global and that robbed me and others of their money, can't find $1.6 billion? Oh, that wasn't John the Slime Corzine, former governor and senator in New Jersey. Oh, and before that, the head of the Goldman Sachs gang. That's right. And who's the head of the Commodities Future Trading Commission? Oh, Gary Gensler. And they never prosecuted or brought Corzine up on charges. Oh, where did he come from? Oh, he worked for Corzine when Corzine was with Goldman Sachs. Oh, Alex, who's the new guy over there that just became the head of the Bank of England? You know, the City of London. The City of London, yeah. There's a kid, you know, this is a family show. I can't say what I really want to say, but let's just say the City of London makes Las Vegas look like, you know, kids play. City of London. It's a place where you could do the dirtiest deals at the highest levels. Who became the head of the Bank of England over there? Mark Carney. Oh, I love that word, Carney. Carney, carnival man. Oh, yeah, this guy's the perfect Carney. Carney, where did Mark Carney come from? Wasn't he just running the show over here in Canada? The bank over there? Yeah. And now he's the head of the Bank of England.
And by the way, even the outgoing head of the Bank of England, you know, who's a globalist, says this is the equivalent. And in fact, talk about tooting horns. Guys, type in Bank of England head war. And it's a London Guardian article. There's also a Daily Mail one. And he says this financial meltdown is like a new world war. I didn't put the connection to you. I think he's basically saying what you're saying, and he's saying this new guy that it's like a criminal takeover, basically.
It's a Goldman Sachs takeover. He was with Goldman Sachs, and I'm tired of hearing this word investment banker. These are gamblers on the inside that know the deal and make the money. It ain't because they're so bright. Oh, remember the LIBOR rigging scandal? They rigged interest rates. They rigged everything. Look at the scandal going on now with that other hedge fund. No, so he was not an investment banker. He didn't become a multi-millionaire, billionaire because of his brains. You make the money because you're on the inside of the mob. So now the Goldman Sachs gang now is running the Bank of England. Oh, and then I forgot. The European Central Bank. How could I forget that one? Who's running that one? Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi, hey, wasn't he the vice chairman of the Goldman Sachs gang in Europe before becoming appointed to head the European Central Bank? Wasn't he the guy that they blame for bringing Greece into the European Union, the Eurozone?
That's right. It's a total world government, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase takeover. His great Trends Journal quarterly, but also the Trends updates at trendsresearch.com. Invaluable information for everybody. Gerald, let's jam in a couple phone calls here. Quick questions. Bert in Illinois. What's your quick question for Gerald Celente, sir?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and Gerald for your dedication to the cause.
Thank you.
Number one, I don't know if you ever seen the movie.
I didn't hear anything.
Number one, I don't know if you've seen the movie Billy Jack Goes to Washington, a good depiction of the Congress. Number two, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, Gerald was having trouble hearing you, sir. Do you have a quick question?
Yes, I called the NRA yesterday, and they didn't seem interested in the Bob Costas thing whatsoever. I'm wondering if the NRA ain't in bed with Washington.
Yeah, well, that's what Larry Pratt reluctantly has been forced to say. He likes to be classy, but the NRA has sold us out in the past. They've got some better board members now. What do you think of Bob Costas now saying, hey, men 20 to 30 cannot be trusted with guns? And he's basically doubled down. We played the clip yesterday and just said ban them all. Just men cannot be trusted.
Why would I care less what a sports announcer has to say?
No, I agree. But, I mean, why are they? I mean, they're obviously using the NFL to go after our guns now. Yeah,
I mean, really. I mean, what is this guy? I mean, why should anybody listen to him? He calls games.
He also...
Hey, how about Kate Middleton? I wonder how her pregnancy's going.
No, I agree with you, but my point is...
Why listen to these people?
No, I agree with you, but the point is... You know, he carried the water for Sandusky as well. You know, my point is that this signals are coming after the guns. What's your take on the word that Obama may use executive orders outside of law?
Oh, definitely. As I said, as the world war heats up, we get shut down. Oh, they're going to use every two-bit excuse they can to take all our rights away, as they're already doing. The worse conditions become, the worse it's going to get. Just to put things into perspective, how bad it's gotten. Go back 10 years ago. What was the price of gold in 2000? $250 an ounce?
Yeah.
Today it's $700. What was silver? $4 an ounce? Today it's $34. What was a barrel of oil? $20. What is it now? $90 to $120 a barrel? So look what's going on. The whole thing. Oh, by the way, over in you've heard me talk about the whole world's collapsing economically. They just lowered interest rates again in Australia. The whole commodity boom is over there. They're doing everything they can. Governments all over the world pumping cheap money into the system. The thing is under collapse. I'm saying, look what's going on. The more it spins out of control, the more rights they're going to take away from us. And yes, they are going to do their very best to take our rights to bear arms away from us.
No, I hear you. Incredible. I want to get to more calls. We're running out of time here, but I want listeners to understand we're not hyping this. You know, the New York Times 4 years ago called you a pessimist porn dealer. Everything you predicted basically came true in one way or another. And then they're the ones caught lying about WMDs.
And selling the lie.
it not, my king, time to spring the trap?
No, we must desecrate the soul and the flesh of the Creator's creation.
The chain of life broken forever. A monument to our beauty. Gerald, just real fast, what is going to happen when the dollar stops with the electronic food stamp, stops buying for the Obama phone lady, and stuff like that? What is going to happen with a giant group of people in this country who can't take care of themselves? I mean, it just looks like a powder keg.
Oh, you're going to see the gangbangers all over the place, and more and more kids are going to join them. It is a powder keg. And again, we're squandering our resources in other countries while we should be saving this one. It's criminal. It's criminal. And again, listen to Eisenhower. Don't listen to me.
I agree with you. Well, it's just very interesting times here. They could accelerate the war any day now, folks. It's a powder keg. The Russians are there. Our troops are fighting Russians. U.S. troops next to al-Qaeda troops are fighting Russians. I mean, this is just so evil. Insider in Washington, real quick question for Gerald Celente. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, no problem. Hello. I wanted to get his take on the new regulations that are coming up for the derivative traders in 2013 that is going to require them to put up trillions of dollars to satisfy the new margin requirements. And also I was wondering if he was at all involved with the Spire Law Group lawsuit in East New York that is for $43 trillion against the United States government officials and the banksters. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, those are great questions. Yeah, no, I don't think the derivatives laws are going to make much difference in any way. They'll come up with something else to get around and create something else new to rip off.
Because they run the whole show. That's cosmetic.
Yeah, so I don't see anything like that. To me, it has to be a full reinstallation of the Glass-Steagall Act, nothing short of it.
You can't let investment banks create derivatives, period. They should all be arrested. I mean, all these guys dwarf Madoff.
Oh, well, he's just a fall guy. You know, you didn't see one big head roll on the whole Obama administration of anybody during that time. They get fined and they neither admit nor deny that they did any wrongdoings.
That's right. You know we've turned things around when the big heads roll.
That's right. And you're not going to see it happen. And the other one, by the way, is just a little side note, Eric Holder, the Attorney General, he came from the White Shoe Boy firm that is now the law firm for MF Global. Oh,
yeah, that's how it works. George in Connecticut, last caller. Sorry to the others. A quick question for Gerald Celente. Go ahead.
Gerald, I'm just wondering, I have quick 5 points, and you can take any which one you want to do with. I'm thinking of starting up a new bank in each state, just like George Green suggested, the not FDIC, but Federal Reserve Bank, how he started. It's on the web. I mean,
talking about state banks. Okay, that's point one. We got about a minute.
To maybe say, well, how can we start any new wars? This is the commander-in-chief. Where's his credentials? He's Indonesian, he's a Kenyan, he's everything in creation, but we don't see a real birth certificate. Point three, IRS. Why do the states just say, look, until you show us that you... I'm
going to have to cut it off there. Great questions. Gerald, what about the states' rights movement? They're calling it secession. The Declaration of Independence says the states made the federal government. What about a counterbalance because the feds have hijacked, everything, foreign bank run? What about having the states say no to the federal government as a counterbalance?
Look at our top trend for 2012. One of them was secession obsession. It's real. It's going to happen. It's not only happening in the United States, it's happening in Spain. They just had a vote in Catalonia. They want to pull away.
I forgot. You said that a year before it started. You called it again.
It's right there in the Trends Journal. And it's in Wales, in Scotland, it's in Brussels. It's going around the world. They're having movements throughout the world, in the United States, to break away from, in Italy, to break away from central governments. It happened in the former Soviet Union, and now we have the new USSA. We just stole their arm.
Alex Jones here with some very important breaking news. The latest edition of InfoWars magazine, December 2012, is out. And no, we don't really cover people that think that the world is going to end on December 21st. We are predicting the world will not end. But we are predicting that the end of our free republic may take place if people don't wake up and get aggressive and angry and speak out against what's happening. This man wants your guns. That is the cover of the 60-page glossy magazine, jam-packed with information and the truth. And you know what they say, the truth will set you free. You can buy the magazine at cost in bulk in groups of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right up to 100 to give everyone you know. And believe me, people will open this up. It is full of unbelievably powerful graphics, cartoons. We've got artist profiles on patriots out there that are exposing the globalists. And it's got several articles breaking down the facts that Obama and his globalist controllers want to disarm the American people and are going to try to ban all semi-autos. The facts are in this magazine, and this is the most important of the 4 issues we have ever put out. And when you do sign up for the subscription, you don't just get 12 in the mail. When supplies last of the previous issues, we will put back issues like the November issue, Zombies, Are You a Zombie? Breaking down how television has put the general public into a trance-like state. You will get that when you sign up for the next 12 issues in December of 2012. Now, you're out there watching saying, Alex, we know all about the New World Order, and yes, the magazine's a great thing, but why should we support it? Well, you're also supporting free speech and print 2.0. With the internet kill switches coming in and all the rest of this, it's important to have physical copies that are out there, just like the founders did in the 10 years leading up to the Revolutionary War in 1776. They put out their little primitive broadsheets printed on both sides, pointing out the crimes of the crown, and that helped organize and awake the public to finally win the physical victory when war and conflict unfortunately came. My goal is to expose the globalist and to win the info war so it doesn't become a physical war. We've seen Hillary Clinton saying that they're winning the info war. Top globalist Zbigniew Brzezinski says that nationalism is growing and that people are waking up against outside forces because of populism and alternative media. This particular issue of the magazine is the one to give friends and family. It's the one to put under the tree or in the stocking. It's the one to leave at church. It's the one to leave at the dentist office. This is the one, the December issue of InfoWars magazine with Ron Paul, the attack on the Second Amendment, the police state, the GMO takeover. It's all there and all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Get your subscription or buy the magazines in bulk today. I'm Alex Jones signing off for InfoWars.com. Until next time, remember, if you're watching this, if you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.